The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Vera Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
The UFC has brought a much-anticipated rematch to the city of Miami, which will play host to UFC 299. Chito Vera looking to make it 2-0 against the champion this time, Sean O'Malley. Welcome in to the Kaseya Center. I am Brett Okamoto alongside Ian Parker. And because we are in Miami and the celebs are out, we brought our own celeb. If you've been watching any gambling content at ESPN for the last few years, you've seen this man, Joe Fortenbaugh. Nice of you to join us, Joe.
You guys missing Toronto right now?
I would take. I'd probably take the heat over the cold, but yes, Joe has been glistening, I would say, with a little bit of sweat out here because we are doing the shows outside. But
this is a nice setup, boys. Thank you for having me. Not blowing smoke. This is a show. It puts money in your pocket. I talk to you guys almost every single week. I watch it for everything. You've been on quite a run, my friend. I don't want to hype it up too much, but you've been on quite a run.
We're just trying to not melt out here, but we're going to make some money. We're good. We're good.
In addition to not melting, we're going to be talking about these fights. But before we do, let's look back, as we always do, at the last UFC fight night. Ian, how did we do at the window with our best bets recap?
Main event wasn't a specialty here. Gaziv, I guess, got taught that veteran lesson. He lost money line. Petrino Pedro over 1.5. Magomedov over 1.5. Basharat by decision. That one to this moment still throws me off. Al Sawadi and Lloyd Rajabov was a minute and a half away. We then hit the other parlay of Duncan Anders Petrino. We hit our other parlay as well with Urseg Bakayev and Duncan. 2 parlays in the night, 3 and 3 in the best bets. It is time to break through. Let's get that sweep for $2.99.
Yeah, it's always nice. I mean, hitting 1 parlay on a card, but hitting 2. Nicely done there, Ian Parker. Let's do it again here at UFC 299. Let's check out that main card. You can find it at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN+. Sean O'Malley, the favorite here against Chito Vera, despite having 1 loss to the man. It's the only loss on his record. And then Dustin Poirier in a 5-rounder against Benoit Saint-Denis. MVP Michael Page is over here from Bellator. He's going to be taking on Kevin Holland in his UFC debut. Very excited for that fight. Jack Della Maddalena, Gilbert Burns. Petr Yan is the 5th fight on this card, taking on Song Yadong. Man, this is a fun card. It's going to be a fun time to talk about it. Let's start with the main event, as we always do. Sean O'Malley taking on Chito Vera. What did you think of the first fight? What did you think of them since? And ultimately, how are you trying to handicap this, Joe?
You know, to quote Kendall Roy, it's all bangers all the time.
All
bangers all the time. But you can try to hype up a card all you want. Sometimes you're selling. This doesn't need any selling.
Absolutely.
Everything you're getting with this card, start to finish, is going to be fantastic. O'Malley's where I'm looking here. O'Malley's where I'm looking. He's continued to ascend. Now, this isn't a knock against Vera in any way, shape, or form. I think the 5 rounds favors O'Malley, believe it or not. Everyone's going to talk about narrative-wise. He's never been in the deep water. He hasn't gone 5 rounds. Vera, meanwhile, has never been knocked out. I'd be looking for the knockout here. That's exactly what I'd be thinking. You look at the damage that O'Malley can inflict on someone, strikes landed versus strikes absorbed over the course of 25 minutes when you prorate it out, versus the damage Vera takes on a regular basis. That 4th round, that 5th round, I think those are going to be beneficial here. So I really like him in this fight. He's coming into his own. It feels kind of like a matchmaker special here, too. Try to ride this wave with O'Malley as long as you can, because we know what's around the corner in terms of Merab Dvalishvili.
Okay, so Joe likes O'Malley by finish there, knockout, TKO. What do you think, Ian?
No, our last guest was Chael's son, and sometimes I'm afraid to disagree with Chael because, he's undefeated, undisputed. I'm not afraid to disagree with this guy. He's not a UFC fighter, former, or anything.
I'll take that as disrespectful.
I love you, but I do not love what you just said about Chito going 5 rounds. Chito is a 5-round specialist. Just the problem, though, with Chito, and I agree with you there, is that he starts off a little too slow, but so does O'Malley. Even in the first fight against Aljo, he took his time, was more concerned about defending takedowns. But to your point, Joe, this seems to be where the UFC needs someone like O'Malley to break through and be the star. But out of all the matchups, I don't love this one for him because Chito, in a 5-round fight, is dangerous. He is durable. And if O'Malley doesn't get the knockout, is he going to be able to sustain the pace over 5 rounds? To your point, we haven't seen him go 5. Doesn't mean he can't. He trains for it. Cardio's never been an issue with him. But this is a really interesting fight. For me, I'm going over 4.5 rounds here. I just see this fight being a feeling out period early on. And if he's going to try to just strike from the outside and land that monster shot on Chito, that's not the way to do it. For Chito, you got to wrestle. We've seen guys like Frankie Edgar almost beat Chito Vera by taking him down, laying and praying, getting ground and pound. That's not Sean O'Malley's style here. So in a kickboxing fight, I think Cheeto's got a better chance than people think. I do think O'Malley's a star. I thought you were going to wear that green thing he was wearing, but you
look good.
You still look good. For me, over 4.5 rounds here. Let's go.
Does the Sandhagen performance worry you at all, considering what we saw last time out from Cheeto?
I'm gonna say the thing that worries me, I guess, if you're in a Cheeto camp, is the speed.
Yes.
That was kind of the story going in, and we didn't really get to see that fight because of what happened with the leg kick. And you can have your own opinion on how legitimate or illegitimate that was. But at the end of the day, the takeaway I got is that we kind of thought going in that Vera might have an issue with Suga's speed, and I thought that was the case. I thought that there was a very, very clear speed disadvantage. So, and kind of piggybacking on that, Ian, a little bit of a disagreement between you guys in terms of how long the fight is going to last, but what do you think of just the actual taking O'Malley straight up at minus 265? Do you think there's value in either side there?
No, minus 265 is too much. Especially, I mean, look, if you're going to go with Joe here and Joe does his homework, that plus number, even at decision, I think it's plus 110 for O'Malley. And then you saw for Cheeto, it's plus 600. So for me, I think if Cheeto wins its decision, if O'Malley wins it's by TKO, so you get plus money either which way you want to skin that cat. The money line, though, on O'Malley at minus 260 and change, to me, that's way too high.
Yeah.
Ultimate buzzkill statement here, but when you look at the entire card, and I know you might agree with this as well, not the top play. Not the top play. This one stuff, based on how they've priced this, they've gotten pretty close to knocking this one out of the park. I'd rather limit the risk and take a shot on the knockout than go ahead and lay the 280 overall, because again, with the leg kicks, you know that's what Vera's going for. And if he has success with that over the course of 5 rounds, that could be problematic.
I like that discussion because, ESPN BET, our stats team, telling me that O'Malley is the #1 leg of parlays being added to. So if you don't like it at minus 260, minus 270, wherever it ends up, maybe leave it off the parlay too, because right now that is the most used leg in parlays.
Blasphemy. We're parlaying all of them. Blasphemy to leave anything off.
Let's talk about this co-main event, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I mean, this is a story that we've seen over and over again in combat sports and sports in general. It is the older guy taking on the young up-and-comer. Big opportunity there. You look at where they're ranked. Saint-Denis could take out the #3 guy in the division in Dustin Poirier. Are you surprised at all by this line, or did you feel like it was going to be around minus, you see there, minus 175, it's opening up. The current is plus 185 there. I mean, that's switched quite a bit. What do you think of the line here? A little disrespectful to Poirier, or about where it should be?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, first off, I don't know. I never saw that line at minus 175 for him. I would never have expected it. You know, him coming off that TKO loss, and then you got someone, Benoit Saint-Denis, who's literally a soldier of God. He's just an absolute warrior. And this is one of those things, it's the rhythm, is you see someone, the older fighter, the seasoned vet, the up-and-coming guy. And if you look, this dude is massive at 55. However, I'm just going to represent MMA Twitter here. What is that thing on the top right corner of his head? Is that staph infection? Is he on antibiotics? Because that will affect his cardio. That could affect when it comes to fatigue, and Dustin does not get tired. For me in this fight, it's either you take Benoit Saint-Denis to win by a knockout or take Dustin. Well, obviously, if you go the opposite way, I just think the 5-round fight really does favor Dustin Poirier here. We've seen him take damage. We've seen him get beaten up. Come back. I'll reference the Dan Hooker fight. We've seen it before. For me, I'm going to go with the underdog in Poirier here. I don't think he's done yet. I think this is one of those things where maybe it's too much too soon, or just timing for Benoit Saint-Denis again, this type of fight. Let's see what Dustin can do.
That analysis is so problematic. You've got sirens going off in the background.
That's what I
do. Right now. The always fun staph infection handicap. Love that.
Yeah. It's a thing.
The market is the market, right? This is the thing that we have to try to reconcile right here. Poirier is going to take a lot of public money in this fight. People love Dustin Poirier. Look at the resume, right? Top to bottom. Yet opens in the neighborhood of Saint-Denis, minus 150 up to minus 220. Like, that's not public money that's driving that right there. And professional bettors take a look at this. They have to try to handicap where these lines are going to go so that they can ensure they're going to get the best of the number. If they think the public is going to come in on Dustin Poirier, they would have waited, and yet they still jumped on this number and pushed it to where they are. I don't see it going 5 rounds. This feels like 2 guys in the center of the octagon trading blows for the majority of it. Saint-Denis by stoppage. Stoppage. I want to make sure the submission's in there as well. It's minus 160. So again, not a huge bet here, but that's where I'd be playing it.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I think this line, when you look at this line, it's almost like the odds makers are saying that Dustin is done.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And I'm not ready to make that proclamation yet. I know that the guy is talking about the end of his career, but it's almost in a sense of like, well, yeah, I'm not blind. I see that it's coming, but it's not right now. Sometimes you're around fighters, you know this, Ian, that they're done. They don't want to be here anymore. I haven't gotten that impression from Dustin Poirier at all. So if this line is based upon the idea that Poirier is done, I'm not completely bought into that.
That's an important handicap. You sat down with him. A lot of people are looking at that interview this week as they try to assess how they're going to play this.
Sure. Yeah, I think
Dustin's honest. I mean, I would say the one thing about Dustin too is he would tell you, listen, I'm going out into the sunset, win or losing this fight. That's the one thing with him is transparency throughout his whole career.
Yep.
He said it with the Conor fight. He said it with the Gaethje fight. We're going out there. We're both going to the hospital. There's not going to really be a winner here. And I think with this fight, he's looking at some sort of BMF title situation also, the way this is going to go. I just think for Dustin, if he knows there's more and he's got, I think, a couple of more fights left, he wouldn't have taken this if he doesn't think he can win the fight.
I agree. Let's get to the rest of the card like we always do. But before we get Joe out of here because he's got important things to do. He's a very, very busy man.
Gonna take a swim.
Your best bets for the rest of UFC 299.
So a couple I'm looking at. I want to see what Ian has to say about this because I haven't had the chance to run them by you yet. I want to start with the featured prelim, Curtis Blades. I'm going to play -110 over Jailton Almeida. Blades, if we're going to stand and strike here, Blades is going to be the clear side. If we go to the ground, obviously I'm going to be in trouble there. But if you look at Blades' history, how much time has he spent getting controlled on the ground? It's like less than 3% overall. He's going to have a chance that Derek Lewis did not. So at -110, I'm going to be on Curtis Blades. And then Jack Della Maddalena, I'm going to play him by knockout. That's around +150 right now. Look at the age. Gotta love Gilbert Burns, but you're coming off that injury. You're 37 years of age. You're going against someone who's entering their prime. I think it's a good buy low spot on JDM, considering those last 2 fights were split decisions. A lot of people talking about the same thing. Stock seems to be down for JDM. That's when I'm looking to buy.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. You articulated yourself well on these fights. We appreciate your insight. We appreciate your time. We appreciate that shirt and the color combination.
All for us.
All of it's working there for Joe Fortenbaugh today. Thank you again. And we will get to the rest of Ian's picks here coming up shortly. And it's going to be, I guess we'll stick right there with the main card. Kevin Holland taking on Michael Page. An interesting situation, right? Michael Page coming over, and it's one of those situations where, you know, how good was the opposition that he was facing over in Bellator, and what is that going to translate coming over from Kevin Holland? I guess when you look at this matchup, Ian, there's different things you take into account when you're looking at any type of matchup. Sometimes it's style, sometimes it's where they're at in their careers. What stands out to you here between Kevin Holland and Michael Page?
For Kevin Holland here, I think he has to get rid of the ego he did with Wonder Boy. I think he knows at this point where he can win this fight. It's on the ground. Venom Page presents no threat off his back whatsoever, and Holland has a bunch of submission wins. Also on the feet, I think Holland's pretty good. I mean, we've seen it before. He's not someone who gets dropped. I think Venom Page is an interesting kickboxer. He keeps his hands very, very low. I think he's going to be a little nervous here, too. And I think with Holland, if he can bring that pressure, for me, it's got to be Kevin Holland in this one.
Okay, taking Kevin Holland -135. From there, we go to the welterweight division. We already heard that Joe is taking JDM by knockout. How about you?
You know what? I understand the play. Gilbert's a little bit older. He was dropped by Usman with a jab. Bilal dropped him with a jab. However, the biggest difference here is the ground game. We saw against Basil, Jack was all over the place, even dropping the guillotine. Can't do that against Gilbert. Give me Gilbert Burns at +3.5 here. I do not see him getting 30-27. If he loses by knockout, sure. However, he knows what he has to do here. I mean, listen, we saw it against Hamzat. He went 3 rounds. Yeah. Why can't he do it against Jack? Get the takedown and get the win.
And then how about this for your 5th fight on the main card? Petr Yan and Song Yadong. What do you think here?
I wish I heard Petr Yan scream again like that one time when it was like, ah! But I'm going Song Yadong here. Look, for Petr Yan, also a very slow start at round 1. Song Yadong, extremely explosive. 3-round fight here. I like Song Yadong to get the win. I think Petr Yan, just over his last couple of losses, just can't seem to find that next level to really get back to explosiveness. And he could wrestle here. I think Yadong is just a younger, hungrier fighter here. Let's go with Yadong.
That's wild, thinking about just, it wasn't that long ago that Petr Yan was on top of this division. Seemed like he was going to stay there for a while, and now here he is fighting Song Yadong. And you're picking Song Yadong. Just wild how fast this sport moves sometimes. All right, let's move on to the prelims like we always do. You're going to have a pick for every single prelim. You can see it there. The prelims are on ESPN and ESPN+. All right, Ian, let's take a look at your prelim picks for UFC 299.
Menu's right there for everyone to take a look at, but there's one I want to focus on. It's the Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. It's an interesting fight. Munoz plays spoiler a lot. I'm going to take him at +3.5, meaning he cannot get 30-27. He's got to go 29-28 across the 3 cards. And Brett, for our long shot prop of the night, give me Munoz by decision. This is what it is. He doesn't get finished. He's a decision machine. I think he could play spoiler here, so if it ends, that's the way it goes.
All right, and so from the long shot prop, we go to the long shot parlay at UFC 299, where we're taking this one on Saturday.
You know what? There's a lot of live dogs here, at least in my opinion. So let's go Poirier. Let's go Gilbert Burns. Let's go Song Yadong. Let's go Pedro Munoz. It's a healthy number. I think these odds are a little higher on most of them. Even for Song Yadong, the plus 105 is enough to get us some value there. So let's go 4 dogs for the long shot parlay, and let's see if we can cash it in this heat.
4 well-established names there on the long shot parlay. How about Parker's parlay?
So we hit 2 parlays last week. This one, I know what you guys are going to say. Yes, it is chalky, and it is plus money. That's all I care about. Give me Gamrot. Let's go over 2.5. Munoz Phillips. Let's go Robelis in his debut. This guy's got the wingspan of a fire truck going against Josh Parisian. Don't blink. That should be quick. And Asu over Vergara. Let's get plus 123 right there, and let's go.
We've been on a roll with the parlays. How about the best bets for UFC 299?
299, man. I'm really hoping for the sweep here. So for the main event, over 4.5 rounds. Let's go Gilbert Burns at plus 3.5. I just don't see him getting swept. If he does lose, that would be by knockout. So Gilbert Burns plus 3.5 points. Blades Almeida. I said early on I like Blades. I like over 1.5 so much better. Almeida had 5 rounds to sub Derek Lewis. Couldn't do it. If it stays on the feet, Blades is in favor. I like there. Minus 200, highest I go, but I think Macy Barber could be a future champ. I think she's on the way up. And someone, Caitlin Chukagian, she's that litmus test. So we're going to go Barber, minus 200. Let's go Gamrot by decision. And last but not least, Michelle Pereira, only minus 150 against Lord Michael. That one throws me off. I think he's the much better fighter. That line should be higher.
All right, you know, sometimes these cards just come together, man. And this one is about a perfect card. From location to the main event, the storyline behind all of that. MVP coming over to take on Kevin Holland. This is just going to be a fantastic, fantastic main card start to finish. Can't wait for it. And we hope we made you a little smarter on the bets for UFC 299. Go make some plays. Follow him on Twitter all night to get some more advice. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one.